I've been thinking about this for a week or so now since it happened, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to discuss this or not because I don't like to get on the sensational train. But I think it is worth addressing because it's exactly up my alley. It is something that I am passionate about, that I preach every single day. And I feel like in order to give justice or a voice to the people who felt like they're voiceless or powerless, that I should go ahead and talk about this. Now, this is a very sensitive topic. I am not victim blaming. I would never do that. I don't even think that there is a point of even discussing who's to blame because regardless, after discussing who's to blame, you still have to solve the problem. So I am not victim shaming anyone, and I am not excusing anyone for their bad behavior. I am only talking in reality, talking about the reality of things. And if things are going to persist, what are you going to do about it, right? So it's less about this topic and more about what we can learn from this topic. I feel like we're at a precipice right now. We know about the great resignation of 2023, how many of these work environments are becoming extremely toxic because of the incivility in the workplace. And many of us have a lot of trauma that we went through and have not healed from, which makes a lot of these work environments very hard to be in. And in addition to our pathologies, our generational curses, our privileges, sometimes things happen and we may not have like control over the situation, but we have control over what we can do about the situation. And so that's why I wanted to take the time and talk about this because I think it's very important. I think it's a conversation worth having, a conversation that I think that can do so many people so many good, and I do not want a tragedy to be for nothing. So we don't necessarily know what will happen, but just for everyone else that may be in a situation similar to this, I think that it's worth talking about just to kind of open up the conversations and reform a lot of these workplaces, environments, and policies that work against the employees. So, again, I am not victim shaming or victim blaming. This is about if something is happening, what do you do? It's not about the actual person. I am not excusing anyone's bad behavior. I feel so very sad. This has been heavy on my heart since it happened. I feel for family and friends, for students that was in close contact with her. But I think, again, this is a conversation worth having, and it is a very sensitive topic, but it is my passion work. It is what I do. And I think that it is a conversation that can lead to a bigger conversation and maybe some changes. And so I'm going to go ahead and share with you really quickly um, what I'm talking about. I am talking about Dr. Bonnie. She looks so beautiful. Look at her smile. She has very gentle eyes. She looks like a very kind person. And so I want to say, rest in power, Dr. Bonnie. I can't imagine what you was going through. I can't imagine being in such a toxic work environment where you feel like that was your only solution to the problem. So I want to use this as a talking point, um, a discussion, if you will, to kind of talk about what's going on in the workplace and when you are having problems in the workplace. So, as you know, I work with both employees and employers. So I work with employers to reform the workplace to eliminate stressors so that their employees can be more engaged, more productive, and they can decrease their high turnover rates. I work with employees to learn stress management, to practice self-efficacy, to give them the tools, tricks and techniques they need in order to manage their stress and wellness. And part of that is self-efficacy. So the conversation that we're having today is just being in work environments that don't necessarily um, serve you, right? Serve what it is that you want to do. Work is supposed to be a place where you contribute your best self to the world. You show up to work, show out, learn what you're made of. It is the place we spend the most time at. So, of course, it has a really big snowball effect in our lives. Hence, that's why they put the work before life and work life balance, right? And so, it is very important for us to talk about win win situations because in any given situation with a company or an employer only exists because of its employees. And so it is a reciprocal relationship. It needs to be a synergistic relationship, and it cannot be a win for the employer and a lose for the employees. That makes it a very toxic work environment. And in order for companies, employers to get the best out of their employees, they have to make the work environment enjoyable. It have to be a pleasant work environment. We spend so much time at work, all the hostility, the toxic work culture. No, people are not dealing with that anymore. We know in 2023 it was the Great Resignation. Many people resign in large numbers, and so people are not settling in toxic work environments anymore and staying there for years. They will make the necessary change to get a better work environment, to get better work life balance. And it's important that people do that. And it's important that employers choose to create win win environments for their employees to thrive, not just survive, but thrive. What is the point of waking up every single day not knowing why you were going to a job that you hate? What is the point? Right? We talk a lot about what's going on and how people are just not necessarily enjoying their workplace, their work experience, the people around them, but we spend so much time there. But we also have to work to survive. So, what is the result for this, right? If we have to work to survive, we have to go into these environments where other people, we don't know what other people are doing with, their free time, or if they're working on professional or personal development. We don't know. So, what can we do? What we need to do is understand what is valuable to us and what we value and what we cherish. And if we think work is an extension of our play life, we only need to be in environments where that is the case. No one needs to die for a paycheck. Right. I read this book maybe about 2, 3 years ago, and it was so good. As you can see, it's a library book. It was so good. I have yet to return it. I actually just went on and purchased it. I read it every single year because it has so many points in it, so many data points telling us about our choices that we're making in the corporate environment and how working is impacting our mental health and well-being. And so with these corporate environments, knowing that the workplace is stressful, it is their responsibility to try to eliminate or manage some of these stressors in the workplace. But if that doesn't happen, or even if it does happen, it is also your responsibility to manage your workplace, to make sure that you are managing how stress impacts you, how the work impacts you, the people impacts you, how you show up every single day. It is your responsibility. And if you are in an environment that is not helping you to thrive, it's also your responsibility to remove yourself. So this conversation is a conversation of value. Do you value your life more than you value the status, the accolades, the paycheck that you get from a job? Is it worth leaving a toxic environment and taking a pay cut to be more happy, to be more healthy, to ground yourself, to get the help that you need to heal? I know that we work very hard. We, devote so much of our lives to becoming professionals. And so it's very I guess trying when you have worked so hard to get to a place and you get there and it's toxic and you just can't readily leave because you have bills, you have people depending on you, but you have to start making the moves to find something that serves you, even if that means taking a pay cut. What do you value more, your life or what you get from working? And that's ultimately what it boils down to. The major problem in these work environments is that, or just in any environment, is a collection of people. And what we know is that most of us, many of us, have experienced a lot of childhood trauma growing up. And if we are not intentional about healing it, we're not proactive, that we are constantly just reliving our childhood traumas in any given situation, right? So a person may respond to you in today, but they're really responding to what happened to them as a child. So that is a lot of talk about like the ACEs and how if you had a lot of childhood trauma growing up, it is in your best interest to go ahead and manage your stress every single day, to go ahead and heal, because in having that trauma, it actually predicts how your life would be. The more points you have on the ACEs, you're more likely to have disease and illness, you to go to jail, to commit a violent crime, or unalive yourself, I should say. And so we have a lot of unhappy people in the workplace who are suffering through childhood trauma, who have yet to heal, who are not working on professional and personal development. And so they bring their baggage with them, and it overall impact the work environment, the individuals, the culture, and all of that in between, right? And so it's in our best interest. I try to talk to companies all the time about how if you're going to have human people working in your organization, your business, you have to focus on human nature. And we know that humans have a lot of childhood trauma, a lot of professional development that they have avoided to become professionals, right? Because we spend most of our time being professionals. We spend most of our time training to have a job more than finances, than being in a family, communication, uh, parenting, anything, right? We spend more time training to have a job than anything else. And then we go into these environments and they don't provide us the opportunities to grow, to develop, especially personally, which is what we need the most, right? Most environments, I would say all environments, really need to practice professional development in addition to, sorry, personal development in addition to professional development. Because you can train a person to do a job, but you cannot train for character. Character is everything, and it can destroy any toxic work environment that you're in, right? Excuse me. Many of us growing up, our parents taught us to be dependent on them. Institutions taught us to be dependent on them, to obey, to submit, to conform. And so we learned helplessness, right? So many of us are going through life feeling helpless about any given situation that we're in. We're feeling powerless, like we can't change it, like we can't do something different. We also have an aversion to change, right? Human beings don't tend to like change, but it's in our best interest to work through those things, to welcome change, to practice self-efficacy instead of learn helplessness, to be proactive about making the necessary changes in your life when things are not working out for you, when things are toxic and disorderly. You choosing yourself, environment, person that pain or causing you suffering or uncomfortability. It is in your best interest, and it is your responsibility to manage where you are, how you show up, what you do, how you respond to, right? So if something is not working, please, before it gets too bad, before you feel like there is no other option, be open and willing to change and move on. We can't necessarily change other people's behavior, how they show up, their pathologies, their unconscious biases. We can't change these things, right? But what we can do is manage ourselves. We can remove ourselves from the given stress, so we can put ourselves in better situations, even if it means that we have to take a pay cut or we have to take a status cut. What's more important than your health and well-being? What's more important than you living a happy, joyous, playful life? What's more important than you living, right? So I would beg everyone, if you are in a toxic environment, it doesn't just mean work. If you are in a toxic home environment, social environment, work environment, it is in your best interest to remove yourself or to figure out how to manage your stresses before they lead you to a place of no return, right? So again, character is everything, and you have to realize that a lot of people do not develop their character. Stephen Covey said that most people work on their personality ethic over their character ethic. So a lot of people have personality traits that they utilize in order to get what they want, but underneath sits a very toxic or insidious character. And if you notice these things, it's time for you to remove yourself, regardless of what it takes. Remove yourself. You can't just sit around and wait for the problem to resolve itself. You must be proactive about solving your issues. And again, on the other side of this, a lot of people, I'm going to say it like this, if you're not practicing personal development, you are the problem. You are the problem. If you are not going out of your way to have a growth mindset, to practice everyday personal mastery, to get better than you were the day before, to self-reflect, to develop, to improve your communication skills, your cooperation skills, if you are not constantly working on how to be a better human being, right, then you are a part of the problem. It doesn't matter how well you do professionally or how good you are, your character will always ruin things for you. We know plenty of people who are so good at their jobs. They make a lot of money, they go to the top, and because of their poor character, everything comes crashing down. They do something, they get caught, they wind up hurting other people, and the lifestyle changes after that, and the consequences come, right? So again, you can be extremely successful professionally, but if you're not balancing personal development alongside professional development, you are contributing to toxic environments. And that is point blank, period, right? It is non negotiable to work on developing your character, being a better person, serving the world, contributing your best self to the world, being a team player to the human family, not letting power go to your head. And because that's another conversation. We're in these work environments where you give people who are powerless in their own lives power, and they're powerless in their own lives because they're not practicing personal development, personal mastery, self-actualizing, or growth mindset. And you give them power, and then they corrupt, right? They start to mistreat others, abuse others, exploit others because they were given this power. And especially here in the United States, we have very systematic, um, I would say, pockets of, what's the word I want to use? Let's just leave it at that. We have systematic pockets that hinder people from really truly seeing themselves and kind of leaning into their privilege. And so, if you are not a person that is actively every single day doing the opposite of that, you are part of the problem. We all had the same education here. So, the same education that taught you taught me, and I know what it taught me. So, I know what it taught you. And if you're not doing the work to unpack it, then you are putting those bad character, habits, behaviors, mindsets on other people. And in this society, it's excusable depending on what the person looks like, um, the demographics of the person. There may be little to no consequences. And so a lot of people will exploit because they know that there are little to no consequences for, doing certain things to certain classes of people. And so, with that being said, knowing that There are pathologies that most people are focusing on professional development and not working on themselves, not working on their characters. That it is in your best interest to work on yours and to manage yourself in your life, and to make sure you are not giving power to people who are going to exploit it. If they don't deserve it, you should not be giving it to them. If they're mistreating you, if they don't respect all that is all that it's taken for you to get here, all of the roads you had to take, the trials, the errors, the past, the failures, the ups, the downs, the peoples, the lefts, the rights, the curves. If they cannot respect all that is you, it is not the environment for you. Go and find your people. Your people are out there, and you should never stop searching until you find the place where you can show up, show out, and be your best self. If you are just thriving in any environment, it is not best for you. As a matter of fact, it is dangerous. It's not in the employer's best interest for you to be there taking up space if you are not passionate about what it is that you're doing, if you're not there to contribute, if you're not adding value to the mission. Then remove yourself and go into another environment where you can thrive, and allow a person to come into this environment that would be better, right? So to create win-wins for both the employee and the employee, both have to be mindful. You cannot put the wrong people in the place who are not dedicated to personal mastery, personal development, to self-actualizing. If you are going to put people in charge of other people, or have people manage people, the people who are managing has to be continuous improvement type of people, growth mindset. They have to actively seek personal development in addition to professional development. They have to see all people as humans, as equal, right? Not just workers, not just employees, but human equals, right? Not just in words, but in deed. And it's so important that together, we manage both sides of it. We create a win-win for all stakeholders, right? So employees, you go into environments where you thrive, and employers, you create environments where people can thrive. In order for people to add much needed value in the world, working is could be a source of good, right? It could be the way you contribute your best self to the world. It could be so much more. It can mean so much more than a paycheck, but the employer has to make it mean more. And as an employee, you have to do the work to understand why you work, what you want to contribute to the world, why you work for this company, what you want to learn and contribute while at this company, and how can you add play, fun, joy, laughter to the work environment so that it is beneficial to all stakeholders. So my heart breaks for Dr. Barney, family and friends, for her students. My heart breaks that people feel so powerless and so helpless that they stay in situations that are toxic for them, that are not healthy for them, until they wind up just giving up or removing themselves. And I pray that we can get this together. We can reform these work environments where the environment works for the employee and the employee works for the employer, and we are creating win-win scenarios for all parties, right? Not just the company making so much money off of the employees, but not consider the very human nature of the people they employ. So together, I believe that we can solve this issue. If you are in the workplace and you see something like this happening, I want you to speak up. If you're not a part of the solution, it means you're part of the problem. So if you see it happening and you don't do anything, you are a part of the toxic work culture. If you don't offer support, if we don't band together and remove the people who make it toxic, if we don't work together to remove them, then ultimately all of their behavior is impacting us, whether we want to believe that or not. And so we all have to be each other's keeper. We all are each other's brothers keepers or sisters keepers. We are the human family, regardless of what others think or what their mindset is behind that. We need each other. Humans are interdependent, and in order for one to exist, the other has to exist. In order for a superhero to exist, the villain must exist. So we could get rid of both the hero and the villain paradigm together and just allow people to be human. That's the best bet, in my opinion, instead of dividing people into heroes and villains. And so it's just very heartbreaking when we spend so much time at work and we want to contribute, we want to give back. We feel like work is a part of our self esteem, self worth, self value, that we can't leave the places that don't serve us, right? We can't leave the environments that are depleting us. We can figure out how we can, in any given situation, self actualize. I know it is hard to do, but it can be done, and you cannot be afraid to do what's best for you and to do what's in your best interest. So, again, this is not the victim shame, victim blame. This is not to excuse anyone's bad behavior. We just know that we have a problem with employees in general, or just a people problem, which is a lot of us are stunted in our childhood trauma, and we need to practice personal development in addition to professional development, right? We need to outline what we value and practice integrity by aligning with what we value. We need to learn to work on our character and not just our personality. We need to counter learn helplessness with self-efficacy, right? We need more autonomy in the workplace to practice stress management and wellness. And we need more health guidelines that when someone is saying that they need a mental health break or day, that it cannot be rejected by those who abuse power, which, again, not to excuse anybody, but power corrupts, and that's any power, right? And so it's in our best interest to always be in control over our power, right? Our internal power, what we are doing, how we're showing up, how we're managing ourselves, how we're pouring into ourselves. It doesn't make sense to give your power to another person who may abuse it. So, always, no matter what situation you're in, you have to manage yourself. And if it's time to go, if you are part of the great resignation and you have to move on, please do so. Trust that there's better for you around the corner, that there's an environment made for you, that you will thrive in, that you don't feel like you're just surviving in or you don't belong in. You just have to stay strong and just, again, manage yourself, manage your environments, manage your stressors, and do not let it get to the point where you feel like you just have to remove yourself, and I mean permanently remove yourself. Removing yourself is always an option. There are so many jobs out here. So many people can use your help. So if you have to remove yourself from any given environment, please do so. The same thing with friend groups. There are so many friends out here. You can find them. Family groups. If your family is, if it's toxic, you have to remove yourself. You have to pick yourself, value yourself more than you value anything else in this world, because if not, what you value will undo you, put it like that. If what you value is not you, the other things will undo you, right? So you can't put your value in other people. You have to value yourself, how you want to show up, what you want to contribute, what you want to do. And you have to make it so that if any given environment, it doesn't matter what environment, it's not helping you living up to that ideal, serving your purpose, that you move on. You are worthy, you are smart, you are more than capable to go out there and find what you need to improve your overall well-being, your environment, your circumstances. You have everything that it takes, and you are deserving to be in a healthy work environment. You are deserving to contribute some much needed value in the world. You are deserving of being accepted and belonging and feeling like you belong in the work environment. You deserve that. We all deserve that. And I will push into, we all have that, right? That is my life mission, that everybody come to work and enjoy what they're doing and add some much needed value in the world, because we need you. You are the missing part of the human family, and all your talent, skills, and abilities are given to you for you to serve the world. So do not let bad behavior stop you from doing that, bad environment stop you from doing that, bad people stop you from doing that. You have to manage yourself because we're waiting on you. I'm waiting on you. So thank you so much, work life warriors, and rest in power, Dr. Barney. Have a great day.